Hey guys, it's Sami, and this is Wrestling Unlimited, as it's Monday, and that means tonight was Monday Night Raw. Let me boost this up a little bit. I'm a little low on my chair. Anyways, as far as tonight's Monday Night Raw does go, I would say that the first, 3/4 of the show scooted by pretty well. Like, we got to the 9 o'clock hour, Central Time at least, and I'm just like, oh, there's 30 minutes left in this show-ish. Okay. And then those 30 minutes dragged and sucked. That whole closing segment with Sami and Seth, Braun and Paul, I was bored. I will say it. The last 30 minutes of this show bored me. I was bored with all of that. And it's like, what is this Sami Zayn story with Seth Rollins? Like, Seth told him, go to SmackDown and we won't beat you up. Okay. But then he's like, I don't want to. I always hate in wrestling. This is one of my pet peeves. When someone goes, we've been friends for how long? I don't want to have to beat you up. But if I have to, I will. It's like, no. You're the one calling the shots. So why do you have to? You know what I mean? It's like, I just never get that in wrestling. They do these stories every so often where it's like one guy is a new heel. His babyface friend is trying to say, hey, don't be like this. And then he's like, well, I don't want to beat you up if I don't have to. But you're going to make me have to. It's like, no, he's not. So figure it out and don't do it. I don't know. I just didn't care for any of the Sami Zayn stuff tonight, to be completely honest. And I love Sami Zayn. Nothing against Sami Zayn. It's the story that they were telling just didn't entice me, and it was dumb. It was dumb. Like, oh, go to SmackDown and we'll get you a title shot, or stay here and get beat up. Like, I don't know. But we've also got Luke over here with us to talk Monday Night Raw. Luke, what's going on? How you doing? What'd you think of the show?
I'm doing all right. Just preparing for finals because we have finals next week. So just trying to get that out of the way, which, I mean, technically I don't really have to meet for finals next week because a lot of my stuff is just like final papers. I have 2 papers. One's a 10-page, one's a 5-page. I got to do a 10 to 15 minute presentation and an online exam.
Dang. And
I also do another presentation, which I'm almost done with that one, by the way.
That's a lot, but hey, it happens. That's school for you.
I mean, at least for broadcasting, what I'm trying to do, a lot of our finals are just like final projects, which that's kind of how it's always been. So it's not bad. It's just a little time consuming. Like, I mean, I could easily manage it. I've done it before, so it's not that bad.
Yeah, that's like when I was in school. Like, I had my Photoshop class, my film studies class, my film edit. It was like more of just like, hey, like you said, project-wise stuff instead of like tests or papers and stuff.
Yeah, so for one of my classes, I have to do a site survey. So basically, for those of you who don't know, like whenever you're doing production for a sporting event, if you're going to be working that event as like a camera operator or freelancer or whatever, they have this thing called like a survey form where it tells you like where to park, where food is, like who to contact if you have any questions about stuff, like the contact of the coach, the like coordinator, or the VP of like operations, whatever. So it's like, and you also have to do like this like diagram of like where to park and where each camera is going to be. I know WWE, they do that as well, like for every show.
Oh, I had to do one when I was in Dallas. We had to put one together because we were running a convention. And we had to put together a diagram and everything on, okay, this room's going to house all the main talks of the convention. Here's where all the seats are going to go. Here's where we need the screens and the cameras and the production setup. And then the other room, put tables here. So, yeah, I get it because I just had to do one of those a week and a half ago and then had to create a run sheet for it and everything. Yep. Not just sports stuff, like all kinds of anything with production.
Yeah, like, I mean, I got mine on my laptop. It's almost done. I'm not going to show it because it has people's phone numbers on it. But anyway, yeah, I'm almost done with that. All I got to do is I have to go to the football stadium, take pictures of where the cameras are supposed to be and stuff. But almost done with that. I mean, it's not hard, just a little time consuming. But anyway, get off the school topic. Now we got to talk about Raw. I thought Raw tonight was a little inconsistent.
It felt like it was jumping around a lot. Yeah, it felt a little all over the place.
And as a fan going to Backlash, please do not let it be Jay versus Logan Paul.
It will.
No, it won't. Don't say that. It's not. No. Nope.
It's either Jay and Logan Paul or you get no Jey Uso at all.
The only person who will be disappointed in that is my mom. Because my mom is apparently she's a big Jey Uso fan. Every time she'll be like, hey Luke, can you play Jey Uso's theme song? I'm like, okay. And then she'll do the yeet.
That's funny.
I swear I'm gonna have to get her a Jey Uso T-shirt.
Well, that was like,
I'll have to.
That's like my son. My son really likes Jey Uso. And when Jimmy showed up to make that pick in the draft for the 49ers, he goes, oh, is that Jimmy? Oh man, I wish it was Jay.
Hey, Jimmy deserves some love too.
Right. But yeah, no, it's funny because when Seth Rollins popped up on the draft, my daughter like runs up and she goes, Dad, Seth Rollins is on TV right now for the NFL draft. I'm like, oh yeah. And my son like snaps a shot of the TV and texts it to me. It's funny as hell.
But Gunther versus Pat McAfee, that'll be it. That'll be an interesting one.
You think he just kills Pat? Let's think. Does Pat need time off anytime coming up? I don't think so. Not that I could think of.
I don't know, but hey, those are like, I'm not gonna say 3 matches. I'm gonna say 2 matches confirmed.
No, we've got 3 matches confirmed so far for Backlash.
What's the third one?
John Cena, Randy Orton, Lyra and Becky, Gunther and McAfee.
Lyra versus Becky, that'll be fun. I think Becky wins that one, takes the title away from Lyra.
So do I.
She has to. Mm-hmm. You're not going to have her return after a year, then have her automatically lose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Becky wins that one as well. But with all of that, I want to say thank you for joining us here. Twitch.tv/PWU Unlimited, YouTube.com/Pro Wrestling Unlimited, and podcast services all around the globe like Stitcher, Spotify, Google Pod, Apple Pod, Anchor, iHeartRadio, and so much more. Remember, if you are watching live on Twitch, you can help us out a couple of different ways. You can either help us out by hitting that donate button down below or donating Twitch bits in the live chat. Remember, you can also subscribe to the channel one of 2 different ways. You can be just like Esports Gaming Rules did today for 34 months in a row and subscribed with a tiered subscription, or you can take your Amazon account, you take a Twitch account, and you can link them together. Twitch Gaming, bada bing, bada boom. And there you go. You get 1 free subscription to any Twitch channel you want to support. And we greatly appreciate it if you did right here. Pro Wrestling Unlimited. Also, remember to help us out over on YouTube. You can help us out over there by hitting that subscribe button. That way you know when we post new videos. That way you know when we go live. And that way you know we post to the community tab. Also, remember that you can get access to other content from us by hitting the join button and becoming a channel member. Right now, our AEW Revolution and our WrestleMania 41 graphics packages are available for the $5 tier. So if you are interested in getting any of those, whether you want them to use them or want them to look them over and learn how I created them yourself, well, they're there for you. All you gotta do is subscribe either here on YouTube or over at patreon.com/PW Unlimited. And finally, if you want to get your comment, question, or concern read live on the air, you can do so by donating a super chat in the live chat. Also, one last thing, head over to the Epic Game Store. Head over to the Epic Game Store and buy something. Whether you're buying a new game, whether you're buying an old game, whether you're claiming a free game or getting bucks for Rocket League, Fortnite, or Fall Guys, use this code right here, PW Unlimited, at checkout, and you will be supporting us at no extra cost. You've been watching Last of Us Season 2, and you don't want to wait for Season 3 and 4 to know how it all wraps up? Well, you can go get Last of Us Part 2 remastered right now on the Epic Game Store on PC. And then you can just play through the 30-hour game and know the whole story of Ellie versus Abby. So go over there, get that, have some fun. Great game. One of my, I don't know if it's in my top 5, maybe. I know it's in my top 10 for sure, favorite games I've ever played. But yeah, head over there. Pick up some new games, pick up some old games, and use our code PWU NLIMITED for all Epic Games and Epic Game Store purchases. But with all of that, we've got Monday Night Raw to talk about. But let me pull my notes up here. Actually, we got a couple other things to talk about first. Let's get to these not super chats, but bit donations from Esports Gaming Rules. First one he says is, with Mayu leaving Stardom, there are rumors of her joining Marigold, but there is a possibility of her joining WWE with Kairi Sane, Neo Sky, and even Asuka and Julia. And also, Thekla is leaving Stardom too, and AEW and WWE is bidding. Okay, so a couple of things to look into here. The Thekla thing, I don't really know who Thekla is, but I know that you saying they're WWE and AEW are bidding on her, that's not true. She's not gotten any offers. They're not bidding on her. What you probably heard was probably Wrestling Observer Live. It was Brian Alvarez and Tom Lawler, and they had stated that they wouldn't be surprised if WWE and AEW both made a play to try to get her. Now, I know a lot of times we hear stuff on these podcasts, and then these random Twitter accounts and these random Instagrams and Facebooks will twist what they say. And so that's probably what you heard, or you just heard it wrong, no offense. But no one said that WWE and AEW are bidding on Thekla. The only thing I had heard close to that was Tom Lawler and Brian Alvarez both say that they wouldn't be surprised if AEW or WWE made a play for her. That's all that is. With Mayu Iwatani, no one said she's joining Marigold. And I've never heard any rumors of that either. She's very close with Rossy Ogawa, so her going to Marigold would not be a surprise. But no one's reported, hey, she might go to Marigold. The only thing that has been reported was Dave Meltzer last night saying that WWE has wanted her for a long time. They tried to get her when they signed Io. They tried to get her when they brought in Kairi. So as far as like her going to Marigold, I can really see her going to WWE and then going back to Japan to do big Marigold shows. I would not be shocked if Mayu Iwatani shows up in Marigold, though. So it sounds like you may have heard things, but out of context or not fully. And so when you don't listen to these podcasts yourself and you just get the one or two lines on an Instagram post or a Twitter post, you're not going to get the full details and know exactly everything that is said. So people do that a lot with Brian Alvarez and Dave Meltzer. They'll go into detail and talk for like 5-10 minutes about a subject, and then someone will clip 30 seconds of it or 2 lines of it, and then you're missing so much context that makes it honestly makes it sound like they said completely different than what they said. So in my opinion, always go back to the source. That's why whenever I aggregate something, like when we write it up on our website or whatever, I try to link right back to the original source so you guys can go there and see, did he miss anything for context? Or when I'm, reporting something on a video, I say, hey, this was reported by on this podcast. So if it's like, I'll say, hey, Dave Meltzer said on the latest Wrestling Observer Radio, or Sean Ross Sapp said on their Wednesday Hump show. So just a little behind the scenes things. Always go back and try to find the original source of who said what or who wrote what. Because a lot of these, especially on Facebook, they like to twist the narrative and change it up in a way so they can get clicks. But he also says, Luke's not going to like this one, this bid donation. Gunther versus Pat McAfee and Jey Uso versus Logan Paul at Backlash will be interesting matches. You interested in either of them?
If anyone says Jey Uso versus Logan Paul, you're getting banned.
Hey, now. I said Jey Uso versus Logan Paul. You can take over and do the rest of the show by yourself if you want to ban me out of here.
No, you're good. That was just a joke.
No, I know. I was playing along. Anyways, he's got one more here that says, do you think John Cena's heel turn and that storyline and, quote, erasing the pro wrestling timeline is similar to Stone Cold's heel turn and being part of Team WCW, ECW in the Invasion storyline and Team WCW, ECW wanting to kill WWE? No, it's not the same thing at all because there's no other entity coming in ran by somebody that wants to take over. That's a completely different thing. That's not even anywhere close. Cena's not going to have his own group or faction or company that's going to try to take over WWE. Cena's whole thing is... Go for it.
No, this is all like Cena by himself. Yeah. The only person that probably like... Do you think The Rock will come back like with Cena to do something together?
Fuck no. At this point, I wouldn't even put a penny on it as a bet. But no, like Cena's whole thing is kind of like what they tried to do with CM Punk in 2011, and they just kind of were like, never mind with it. It's, hey, I'm going to win the belt, and then I'm going to leave, and your belt's going to be gone. And Cena's trying to do the same thing, but a little more elevated of, I'm going to leave, take your belt, and then I want you guys to start over. Create a new belt with new lineage. Don't even link it to a past belt. Like, oh, that World Heavyweight Championship is linked to the Universal title or the old world title. Create a new one that starts over at like the new women's IC belt. So that's the difference there. It is not even anything remotely the same at all. And also, Austin's heel turn was for him to join Vince. Yes, it did eventually have him joining the alliance, but at least at the start, it was to get him with Vince. Get him with Kurt. Kurt and him do their stuff back and forth, and then he leaves to go join the alliance. Kurt becomes the leader of the WWF, and then they have Kurt Angle and Stone Cold as opposing sides. So, yeah. The one bad thing that I thought about Stone Cold being in the alliance was they didn't do a good enough job of telling the new fans why Austin joined the alliance. Because, well, Austin was in WCW. Austin was in ECW. I know so many people that didn't watch any wrestling before 97 and didn't know Austin was ever anywhere else. When he joined the alliance, they're like, this makes no sense to me. So then they had to research and go, oh, never mind. This guy was with them before. Okay, it makes a little sense. So that was the one big drawback of having Austin in the alliance was they should have told us more and even showed us footage of Austin in ECW and WCW. But we're getting off on a tangent on that now. But no, I don't think it's anywhere remotely even close to the same. Not at all. But you hear the new stuff Jonathan Coachman was saying today?
I totally forgot about Jonathan Coachman.
So last week, after the whole thing with The Rock on McAfee, and he was like, oh, this is what happened, and da-da-da-da-da, Coachman goes, I think there might be some beef, some heat between Triple H and The Rock. He's like, I've seen them backstage before when they kind of weren't fully getting along, so maybe this is something like that again. Then today, he was like, you know, I got to thinking, and I was thinking more about this, and I could really see this being something where Triple H is not happy with The Rock because it seems like, and this is just Jonathan Coachman's assumption, I guess you would say. He's got no inside sources telling him this. He goes, it really feels like that running WWE at the top is actually The Rock. Then you have Ari Emanuel under him, and then Triple H, Nick Khan, and everybody else. He's like, yes, Triple H was told, you're going to run this thing, we're not going to interfere. But now you've got like The Rock, who can come in at any time he wants and change things. That is the weird thing. Like The Rock can just show up at any time and go, we're changing storylines. And that's what he did with Elimination Chamber and the whole Cody Cena build. He literally came in because, and that's the other weird thing. Why is Ari Emanuel calling goddamn The Rock saying, hey, can you show up to sell some tickets? When he should be calling Triple H saying, got any ideas to try and get more tickets sold? Like, I don't know. I just feel like The Rock's right now, because of who he's close with and who now owns WWE, they have just a little bit too much power and say so. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
No, I don't.
Yeah. I just think, you know, Rock may have a little too much say so to be able to just show up at any time and change everything. Or at least change big things. But as far as Raw here does go, Nick Aldis is running the show because Adam Pearce is out. He stated on social media, doctors have told me not to travel. So here's the thing real fast. I had a son of a bitch comment on my Raw preview video this morning going, oh, you've said a couple times in videos that Adam Pearce can't come to Raw. But why? Why don't you elaborate and tell us the reason? Because I don't know the reason, because he and WWE did not state the reason. And I'm not going to make something up or assume, because I don't know if he's sick. I don't know if he's got something personal going on. I don't want to assume, be wrong, and be like an asshole. But to come at me like I'm WWE, oh, why don't you tell us why he's not there instead of just saying he's not going to be there? That's not on me because we don't have the info on that because no one has put that out. So for that commenter, yeah, screw you. Anyways, Nick Aldis is here. We see Rhea Ripley, Roxanne, Perez, American Maid, Stephanie Vaquer, and Logan Paul all arriving at the arena. Aldis is filling in tonight for, like I said, Adam Pearce. Michael Cole informed us that Pearce suspended Gunther indefinitely after last week's actions, and McAfee later will address Gunther and what happened last week. We then get a recap of the end of last week's show. And then Rollins music hits. Seth Rollins, Braun Breaker, and Paul Heyman all come down to the ring. They actually get a pretty good pop from the crowd. And the crowd sings Rollins' song. He said that he knew that there were people who still wanted to cheer for CM Punk. That actually brought out a lot of boos until a small number of people started chanting his name. That seemed to catch them a little bit off guard. Rollins mentioned Roman Reigns next, and he was cheered. Rollins said the fans were looking at the future of this industry. The future wasn't Punk. The future wasn't Reigns, John Cena, Jey Uso, or even Cody Rhodes. The future, alongside Paul Heyman and Braun Breaker, ran through Seth Rollins. They were barking for Breaker at this point as well. Then out comes Sami Zayn. And I'm just like, okay, this could be interesting. It ended up not being interesting. So Sami comes down. Zayn said that they've been friends for a very long time, and he wanted to tell him to his face, this all seems like a load of crap. Rollins had talked a lot of trash about Punk and Reigns for years, while noting that the only thing that they had in common was Heyman. Zayn wondered how Rollins was different. Zayn used to think that Rollins really did hate those two, but maybe he was just jealous of them. Maybe he just wanted to be like them, be in their position. Zayn called it hypocritical for Rollins to think that he had to be the center of attention, the center of this industry. He said, you are doing nothing different than the bloodline was. Rollins said that they are nothing like the bloodline. But Zayn said it was just like the bloodline, the exact same thing, because Rollins had a wise man on his side and a dog like the other. Zayn warned Breaker to stop looking at him, or else he'd give him a kick in the head. They kind of went face to face until Rollins calmed down the situation. Rollins then said, this is the future, and Zayn could either be with them or against them. He said this wasn't meant to be like a threat or anything, but if you try to stand in our way of what we're going to do, you're going to become a target, and we have to eliminate targets. Rollins didn't want that for Zayn. He then offered, him to do something for him. He said, Heyman can pull some strings. Maybe we get you sent over Friday Night SmackDown, so you're out of the crossfire here on Raw. Rollins earnestly told him, go to the back, think about it, give me your answer by the end of the night. And I'm like, what? This is kind of dumb. What did you think?
Yeah, I didn't care for this at all.
No.
Where's this leading to?
Unless this is long-term story building, and it's going to lead to Sami Zayn beating a World Heavyweight Champion Seth Rollins at WrestleMania next year, it makes no sense. I don't understand what this is. Like, I wholeheartedly assume within the next year, Seth wins the belt, wins the world title, beats Jey Uso, takes that belt. Maybe go for it.
I think it's going to be Jey versus Seth at SummerSlam, and Seth wins.
More than likely. And so Seth.
I'm sorry to cut you off again, but like Jay's run, I can already tell it's going to be very lackluster. And it's just going to lead to like him holding the belt till SummerSlam and dropping it to a heel like Seth Rollins.
It's going to be a Kofi Kingston run.
Kofi's run wasn't terrible.
I don't think Jay's will be quote unquote terrible. Now, I know you think it will because he's going to face Logan Paul, but that's a different story.
Logan Paul, he's like a lot of his storylines aren't really going to have many meaning to it.
How great was Logan Paul versus Roman Reigns though? For the title. That match was awesome.
Yeah, but like, again, I just feel like Jay, the storylines aren't going to mean anything, and Jay is just going to face a bunch of guys where everyone's going to be like, oh, well, they're not going to beat Jay.
Right. But that's how it was. Well, no, I get what you're saying. But regardless, it's like, I think Seth wins the belt, more than likely at SummerSlam. Holds it till Mania. And then what if this is all like a tease? Because Sami yelled at him and said, I will be a world champion. Well, this is later, so I'm getting ahead of myself now. But he's like, I will be a world champion. I will win a world title the right way on my own. So what if this is all going to lead to next year's Mania? They're already building night 1 or night 2 of next year's Mania main event. And it's Sami beating Seth for a world title. The world title. World Heavyweight Championship. Now, granted, you tease it now, then you keep them apart for the rest of the year. or the next year or whatever. What Sami maybe wins the Rumble or Elimination Chamber. And we go from there. But that's the only thing, if I'm fantasy booking this, that would make any sense. Other than that, I'm like, what the fuck is this storyline? You know, it was good, though. Rhea Ripley versus Roxanne Perez until all the shenanigans. Rhea Ripley?
Yeah.
What?
I can honestly see it be Rhea Ripley versus Io Sky at Backlash for the belt.
That's what they're teasing us.
That's what a lot of people keep saying. That's going to be another match.
Well, that's what they're teasing. They are teasing that.
Which, that'll be a great match, honestly. I mean, it could be one of those matches where, like, Rhea can get screwed over by someone that's not Io.
Yeah, but we don't need to see that because she kind of already did that in the build to Bianca with Bianca for the Mania match. So it's like, I would just like to see Io straight up beat Rhea with no help from anybody else.
Well, didn't she already do that as well?
Well, no, because technically when she beat her for the belt on that Raw, Bianca was there to cause the distraction. So it wasn't a straight up, I won on my own kind of thing, you know? I get what you're saying. One-on-one, no interference, nobody gets involved, and then we go from there. But I think we're going to see the tag match first, probably next week on Raw. But Io's also going to NXT tomorrow. So we'll see how that plays out. But this match was really good. Roxanne and Julia have been called up. I know there was a hot topic on Twitter today. Oh, you say they're called up, but they're not called up. Look what they did with Julia and Stephanie at the end of last week's NXT. You ever heard of an exit program? Sounds like people haven't been watching NXT for the last 12 years. Tell me why Ty Dillinger, Sean Spears now, came up to SmackDown in whatever year that was. I don't even remember. 2016 maybe?
2017, I think.
17. And
it was 17.
And he still stayed in NXT for like 3-4 more weeks to finish off his story with Eric Young Insanity that ended in the cage match. Because sometimes people get called up before whoever's running NXT is done with them. And so they finish their stuff in NXT. And then they go to the main roster full time. But they can, at times, and we've seen it with many wrestlers.
Kevin Owens is another example.
Exactly. They finish off what they're doing in NXT. So it's not just like, that ended abruptly. They're at least going to, be able to go down there, work Florida, work the PC and do all that to finish everything off. Whether this ends with a Stephanie Julia match and Stephanie beats her, we'll see. As far as Stephanie being called up, second week in a row on Raw, I haven't heard anything on an actual call-up per se, only for Roxanne and Julia. But as far as this match does go, Rhea versus Roxanne should have been, like, this match here shows that Roxanne should have been on this main roster a year ago. Like, she is freaking great. They played cat and mouse early on. Perez chucked her ring jacket at Ripley's face and chop blocked her. Perez maintained control by working the leg. Ripley caught her from a flying crossbody attempt and hit a fall-away slam. Sound like you hear a kid or two in the crowd chanting, "This is awesome! This is awesome!" Perez then regained control during a break and kept targeting the leg. Ripley fought back while selling the leg and hit a razor's edge and a sliding knee for a 2. Julia would then walk down the aisle and actually distract Rhea Ripley while Perez cradled for a 2. And commentary tells us it seems like Julia and Roxanne have kind of formed an alliance. Now, I don't know if I want to see them as a tag team or really even helping each other that much anyways. So let's get this over with quick. But Julia's out there, causes a distraction. Perez follows the distraction up with double knees and gets a 2 off of it. Ripley went after Julia, who was just standing there, not doing anything, not getting involved, and Perez tried to use the distraction to her advantage, but Ripley fought her off. Ripley went for the riptide, but Julia then jumped in the ring and chop blocked her from behind, causing the crappy disqualification. Cole wondered, what the hell did this even accomplish, and why is Julia targeting Rhea? Io then ran out to make the big save, huge reaction from the crowd, and there we go. So I thought the match was good until the Julia stuff happened, and then I was just like, that ruined a good match. What'd you think?
The post-match was just leading to what was happening during the post-match.
Yeah, and this thing went almost 12 minutes. So like 9 to 10 of it was good. And then the last 2 minutes or so, it was just like, meh, nothing. It's kind of like a lot of this show. Things started out good, and then it ended up at a wet fart.
Do you think Julia and Stephanie Vaquer do you think it's too early for them to get called up?
Julia, no. Stephanie, yes. I mean, Julia's been around for a year-ish now. And wrestling wise, well, I guess you could say the same thing for Stephanie. Wrestling wise, they're better than like half the women on the main roster.
My biggest question is, what are they going to do with the NXT women's belt? Are they just going to have Stephanie Vaquer like just drop it? So then just be like, yeah, I'm going to the main roster. I'm relinquishing the belt.
I don't say she vacates it. Maybe she, and I hope this isn't the case, but maybe she drops it to Jordynne Grace, who I think should be on the main roster.
Jordynne Grace should.
Because at the end of last week's NXT, it ended with Stephanie in the ring. She had just beat Roxanne to retain the title. Julia comes out on the stage, and then we get a wide shot in the building, and we see that Jordynne is up on one of the balconies watching everything. So they tease both Jordynne and Julia wanting Stephanie. So we'll see. I don't know how long they keep Jordynne Grace down there. I hope it's not too much longer. She doesn't need a run with the belt. So, I mean, if you're going to pick somebody to beat Stephanie for the title down there, I mean, they've been teasing Jada Parker, but they kind of pulled back on that since Stand and Deliver. So I don't know. It seems like the next NXT Women's Champion is most likely going to be Jordynne Grace.
Jada Parker's great, honestly.
Oh, yeah, she's really good. She's got really good. She's good in the ring, and she plays her character really well. I don't know if that's her in real life or just the character, but she comes off really well with like her character stuff.
I don't know if you'll agree or disagree with me on this one, but like, I feel like Jada Parker. I feel like with her character now, I feel like she'd do really great in NXT, but I don't know how she would do on main roster.
Who?
Jada Parker.
I think she wouldn't. I don't want to say this, but should say this. She may need to tone down the gimmick just a little bit for the main roster.
A little bit, yeah.
So, we got another bit donation here from Esports Gaming Rules. He said, "Did you see the New Japan tweet on X Twitter that says NXT weekend before it may have edited? Does that mean no?" He said, "Does that mean a tease partnership with WWE? No. Right now, New Japan Pro Wrestling, for all we know, is not working with WWE. They have a working relationship with All Elite Wrestling. They'll be running a Forbidden Door show with AEW in August, I want to say, in London. So, no, they do not have any kind of partnership with WWE. WWE has a partnership with Noah in Japan. So, we'll see if that elevates any more than what it is, which it's not too much right now. Like, WWE has sent some guys over there. We got Inamura on NXT, who might actually win the tag titles tomorrow. We'll see him and Briggs challenging Hanky Tank. But no, if it said NXT weekend, it may have just been a mistake, or it could have been a Japanese thing where that's just how it translated when they typed it. I don't know. I've seen other people. And then also, it could be a fact if they're just trying to save characters on Twitter and they don't pay for Twitter Premium and they only have the 208 characters. And instead of running NEXT, they take out the E to save a character. Because I know a lot of people that do that aren't wrestling related at all. That right next is NXT just to save a character on social media. So, moving forward, a Judgment Day segment. Finn Balor excitedly welcomed JD McDonough back into the clubhouse. As they were all catching up, Liv Morgan interrupted, asked if everything was cool, and wondered why they weren't getting ready for their match. Balor was surprised to learn that he had a match tonight because he didn't know. McDonough thought Morgan had already told him. So that's why he didn't tell him. And he's like, oh, yeah, we're facing the War Raiders tonight, by the way. Morgan wasn't sure Balor would like hearing from her or hearing that because it wasn't a title match. Balor was happy to have the match, but wanted them to keep him in the loop next time and don't hold things back. Jackie Redmond then interviewed A-Town Down Under during the commercial break. Not much really happened here. They made fun of the Chiefs. Grayson Waller congratulated the Eagles for beating them. And that was about it. They were just trying to piss off the crowd as heels by saying, oh, your team lost the Super Bowl. I like the Eagles. So then we got Logan Paul. Logan Paul comes down to the ring. Paul wondered why he was getting booed when he won at WrestleMania against AJ Styles. He called the fans victims of circumstance because they were here in Kansas City. They didn't know what greatness actually looks like. They were so stupid to think a true legend would look like their current world champion, Jey Uso. Paul said that he's done everything in this business there is to do, well, except win a world title. That's when Jey Uso came out. Jey said that he wasn't about to hand over his belt that he worked 15 years to get to some punk-ass YouTube kid. Watching Gunther beat his brother to a bloody pulp lit a fire under him that was never going to burn out. Quote, "This title is not given. It's earned, and it's mine," end quote. So Paul, if he wants it, he can come try and take it. Paul then mocked the yeeting thing and said, "You sound stupid saying that." Which is funny because even before Jay did the yeet thing, Logan Paul used to do the yeet thing. And then Logan Paul's joke on his podcast is Jey Uso stole the yeet from me and I'm going to sue him for copyright. So I don't know. Anyways, Paul planned on taking the title from Jay, while Jay would crash out just like before. He said, "Your reign as world champion is going to be shorter than your reign as Intercontinental Champion." Jay then laid out Logan with the super kick and the crowd popped. I thought this was okay. Logan Paul tries too hard to be a heel, so his promos don't come off that great. When he first started and he was trying to be the babyface and he was just talking, I thought he was a hell of a promo. But the more and more he tries to be a heel, the worse his promos are because they're forced and he sounds like he's a bad actor trying too hard. What did you think of this segment? Well, I know what you thought.
Yeah, I think you already know how I felt.
Tell the people.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like there really isn't much of a change here.
It could be a fun match.
It can be a fun match, but at the same time, I don't want to go to a Jey Uso versus Logan Paul match.
It's most likely happening.
I mean, it'll be a fun match. I just don't want to.
I get you.
I'm not a big Logan Paul guy. I will say that. He's good in the ring, but I've just never been a big Logan Paul guy. Like, I never liked his YouTube videos. I've never liked his boxing. Like, I'll give him respect that he's good in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
And he takes it seriously. I'll give him respect for that. But I just don't like Logan Paul as a person.
I get that.
Like, yeah.
Makes sense. So moving forward, we had that Judgment Day match where they took on the War Raiders. New Day joined commentary. And Michael Cole kept making fun of Xavier Woods for having an Alicia Taylor haircut. Speaking of making fun of, freaking New Day kept making fun of Ivar for being fat. Like, what? Fat jokes and body shaming? Come on. So early on, Woods was saying that, Ivar does all these big high-flying like moves, and you think it's so impressive because he's a fat guy? No, it ain't impressive at all because everybody does these things. And Kofi's like, "Hey, now, he's big-boned." And Woods like, "Yeah, sure, okay. No, he's fat. He's fat." He called him that like 4 times. Woods then said, you know who's not? It's Judgment Day. They got a lot of abs. Just like me, I've been getting these abs. And I can't remember who it was. I think it was Cole was like, "Hey, if you're going to be on commentary, you need to help build up this match and not just keep talking about yourselves and stuff." And I'm just like, "Oh, hey, yeah, there is a match going on. And we're in break all of a sudden." We come back from the break, and Ivar made a comeback. Woods continued to make cracks about his weight. Woods wasn't impressed by the moonsault. He's like, "Yeah, cool, he did a moonsault. Big man doing a moonsault. We've seen it before." Ivar then went for a moonsault, but took way too long. He was distracted by the New Day. McDonough then tagged in and wiped out the War Raiders with an acai moonsault to the floor. McDonough then followed this up with a moonsault in the ring, but Eric broke up the pin attempt. Ivar hit a double handspring elbow as Woods continued to mock him. Kingston said that he could easily do that move as well. It's not special. Ivar grabbed Balor and chucked him into the New Day at ringside as they continued to talk trash. Woods actually caught Balor, so Ivar tackled them to the ground. Carlito tried to get involved here and distracted the referee, but it didn't work in their favor. Penta would show up and take JD McDonough, knock him off the top rope. Eric and Ivar then followed this up with the War Machine and pinned JD to pick up the victory. This was after dispatching of Finn, who they threw into, and I think I already said it, but who they threw into the New Day. So Penta helps the War Raiders beat the Judgment Day, which will lead to Penta versus JD next week on Raw. What'd you think of the match?
Match was good. I'm pretty excited. I think Penta versus JD is gonna be a fun match as well.
Yes.
Someone in the YouTube chat said they made Logan Paul a heel because people hate him in real life. I remember when like Vince was running, when Vince was in charge, like he was wanting Logan Paul to be a babyface.
Yeah.
But then like Triple H made him a heel because like people just don't like Logan Paul in real life.
Well, I think one of the things that I had heard early on was Vince wants him a babyface, so he brings in his fans and doesn't, deter the people that already like him and turn them against him or something like that. I don't know if that's actually true, but that was like one thing that was talked about at one point. It was basically like, hey, we don't want to make him so hated that even the people that already like him stop liking him.
I don't think it'll matter much anyway. People
Right.
already know it's scripted.
Trust me, not everybody. I know some adults that still think it's real.
It's not fake. It's storyline.
No, I know some adults that don't think it's scripted or any of that. They think these guys are going out there and doing what they do, like the UFC. Anyways, Otis met with Sami Zayn backstage. But Paul Heyman came in and asked for Otis to leave. Heyman told Zayn, hey, we're OG bloodline. So we got that in common. Zayn said, yeah, that might be true, but Heyman blew that all up. Heyman said that Rollins views himself as the vanguard of this industry and the future of it. And Breaker was his dog at the gate. Breaker was demanding a match with you tonight, Sami. And they couldn't say no because Braun was the key to their plan, and they need him with them. So it sounds like Heyman is saying here, and this is just me thinking, for myself, not them saying it, that Braun Breaker was somebody that, yes, they recruited, but they have to keep happy so that he doesn't turn on them or he is not against them. They need him in their group, and so they got to keep him happy with what he wants, and he wants Sami. However, Rollins held Zayn in such reverence that, if you accept this trade to SmackDown, we won't hurt you at all. Heyman then said, I also spoke to Nick Aldis. And if you accept the trade, if you accept the offer and go to SmackDown, you will get to face the winner of John Cena versus Randy Orton for the Undisputed Championship next. Heyman urged him, think about that and how that could help the future of you and your family. He said Zayn could live in the future, die in the past. Zayn was like, seemed like he was thinking about it. I'm like, okay. Then they showed some guy named Jeff Passan. I don't know who he is. And former NASCAR Cup Series champion, the driver of the number 12 Menards Ford for Penske Racing, Ryan Blaney. Both in the crowd. Cool to see Blaney there. We had, was it last week or the week before? Last week, Chase Briscoe was there. They're hyping up that Netflix show for NASCAR Season 2 of Full Speed coming out next week, I want to say. That was cool to see. After Blaney had just a horrible time yesterday in goddamn Talladega. Nothing of his causing. He just got caught up in other people's bullshit. So there's a video package of Becky Lynch turning on Lyra last week. And it sounded like they added a lot of fake boos to that. Because when Becky came out tonight, she got cheered. There was boos, but I think more cheers.
I think people are just happy to see Becky back.
Right. We got a couple more bit donations here from Esports Gaming Rules. He says, Heel New Day doing Scott Steiner. He's fat joke, and that he did to Samoa Joe. Yeah, kind of. I guess he would say. And then he says, did you hear the story about Def Rebel doing UFC walkout music? And oh boy, UFC fans going to hate them as much as most WWE fans. So two things on that. I saw the thing, but I didn't really see who actually reported it and if it's true. And then the other thing is, entrance music in UFC is not that big of a deal. It's cool when it's like you recognize, oh man, Uriah Faber's got California Dreamin' or California Love or whatever that song is. And it's like, that's cool. But half of the time, because the way, especially when you're, and I've never been to a UFC event myself, but watching on TV, the way the production is done, commentary's talking over the whole thing. You hear the crowd more than you hear the music, and I can't tell you more than like two guys' walkout song. So if you changed it to generic Def Rebel music, I wouldn't probably even notice the difference, to be completely honest. Because, yes, the walkouts are cool to watch for UFC fights, but it's more of listening to commentary run down their stats than listening and trying to figure out what their walkout theme and the walkout song is. So, but in the end, it's a way for TKO to save more money and not be paying for all this licensed music. So I get why they would do it. But saying UFC fans are going to hate it, yeah, maybe. But I don't know a single UFC fan that cares about the walkout music. Unlike wrestling fans, who themes are a big deal. With UFC, again, when you're watching on TV, you barely hear that music because they're not shooting it in a way where the music is so important to where it's piped into a specific feed, a separate feed into the broadcast. They're taking the arena sound, and that's how you're hearing the music. You're not even hearing it pumped in differently like you do in wrestling. Because it's pumped in specifically in a way so you do hear it. You're not just hearing the house speakers picking it up like you do for a UFC event. So that's the difference there too. Not that, I don't think it's that big of a deal, to be completely honest. Do you have any thoughts on that?
It really shouldn't be. Do you really think UFC fans really pay attention to the entrances?
No. I mean, the entrances, yes. The music, no. Like I said, all the people that I know that watch UFC, when someone's coming out for the entrance, they're reading the thing on the screen that's telling us their ranking and their stats. They're listening to commentary, talk about their last fight and whatever. So you don't barely even, like I said, you can barely even hear the walkout song anyways. Muscle Man says, charging out the ass for SummerSlam, and also what do you think could be next for Aleister Black after the Miz stuff? So as far as the SummerSlam stuff goes, yes, for VIP packages, they're selling some VIP front row seats for like 40 grand, and they sold out. So Luke and I were talking about this earlier off camera. They're selling these, and I'm going to read this really fast. What they're selling. Because this is kind of interesting.
I saw one tweet about it, and like,
so here,
like a wrestling content creator responded with like, it's like, yeah, I'm not going.
So here it is. This is what, and my camera just froze all of a sudden. Give me 2 seconds. Boom. So let me pull this here. I'll pull this up on the screen. Comes from Andrew, and I always butcher his name. Badala. Andrew Badala, I think his name is. I always butcher his name. But he tweeted out this, and let's zoom in here. It says, confirmed with On Location and WWE. Elite Plus package price. Front row, Elite Plus package prices for front row floor centers, TV side, for WWE 2025 SummerSlam at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey are $40,000 per ticket. Confirmed, they are sold out of this very limited quantity. They include premium front row seating, in-ring photo op at SummerSlam, private transportation to the event, elite welcome event, private section at all-inclusive pre-show hospitality with superstar appearance by Kevin Nash and more, post-show press conference access, and desk photo op. Tickets to both nights of SummerSlam, tickets to SmackDown and Raw as well, 8184, plus more. That's $40,000 and already sold out. The non-center front row is just an elite package and is priced currently at $32,500 per ticket. They include premium front row seating, in-ring photo op at SummerSlam, private section at all-in exclusive pre-show hospitality with superstar appearances by Kevin Nash and more, post-show press conference access and desk photo op, tickets to both nights of SummerSlam, and more. So you're not getting the center of the front row. You're not getting tickets to SmackDown and Raw as well. But you're getting everything else for $32,000. And to read, confirmed they are sold out of the $40,000. All these wrestling fans that are complaining they're too expensive. Why are their price so high? Because people are buying them. Because they are selling them out. WWE in turn is pricing you out of these shows if you say they're too expensive, But it's not just WWE. It's your fellow wrestling fans paying these prices that are also pricing you out of going to these events. So that's the thing. If they're going to sell the tickets for that, if the tickets are going to go for that price, they're going to keep selling them at that price. If they sell out, then why would they lower the prices? If they put, say, 10 of these $40,000 tickets on sale and they all sell, maybe it's 5, but when they all sell, why wouldn't they do it again? Why wouldn't they do it at the next one? If not now, sell them for 50,000. If that doesn't sell all of them, they drop it back down to 40. But if they're all selling, then that justifies the company in doing it and continuing to do it. So the way to make the tickets go down is to not go to the shows. But then at the same time, you have these rich people that can afford it, and they're going to keep going. And so, yeah, a good majority may stop going, but there's still a good majority that's going to go and pay the price.
I'm curious to see what these people do for a living, just to be like, hey, can I get on that?
Right? What do you do? What do you do that you can spend $40,000 to go to SummerSlam? And that's not even your hotel, your transportation to get there, your flight to get to New Jersey, and you're going to be there from Friday to Monday. Technically, unless you take a red eye out Monday night, you're going to be there maybe Thursday to Tuesday. That's what, 5 nights in a hotel, 4 nights in a hotel? And then you got to get a rental. Go for it.
No, well, you can continue.
I was going to say, then you get an Uber every day or a rental car. They do say from and to SummerSlam, they will pick you up. Private transportation. Cool. But what if you want to do other things? Like, oh, well, SummerSlam don't start till X time. I want to go out to breakfast. You got to get an Uber or a rental car. That's more money you get spent. Like, these people are probably spending almost $90,000. Maybe not that much, but $60,000 after all said and done.
I know, breakfast at the hotel.
Maybe. But if you got that money, if you got $40,000, you're not buying. You're going out to breakfast. If you got $40,000 to spend on your tickets, you're going to breakfast. You're going out to a good breakfast.
Hey, I had breakfast with Victoria when I was at WrestleCon.
Yeah, but you paid for that.
Okay.
That wasn't complimentary through your hotel.
But hear me out though. So the ticket I got, like for WrestleCon, it was like $100 per person, but it included continental breakfast, hotel, and you also get to skip the line for certain wrestlers.
See, so you're paying for those extra things. They're just not charging thousands of dollars. They're charging $100, which is not bad for all that.
But that's only for WrestleCon though. That's only for WrestleCon, and it's pretty reasonable. So
yeah, for all that you get, I thought that was reasonable.
But honestly, like, still, if I'm staying at a hotel with a continental breakfast, I'm eating the breakfast.
Well, yeah, a normal person would. But if you've got the money to just throw $40,000, then you're the type of person that probably wants to go out to breakfast.
Probably, or at least go out to a nice fancy restaurant for dinner.
Right. Give me 1 second to respond to a message.
Like, I don't know if I'm sure you know. So, like, do you know the green shirt guy, or at least heard of him?
Yeah, well, everyone knows green shirt guy.
Yeah, like that's he's at it. He's like front row at every like major like WWE show. And like every other or other like shows as well. Like he's like front row. Like again, like I guarantee you there are a lot of the people. It's just the people that like those dedicated loyal fans that want to go to every show, so they'll spend all this money for like a front row seat.
There's a rumor about this guy. You remember back in 2011? No, 13. Whenever Punk 14 maybe. You remember when Punk backhanded a fan that one time and broke his glasses?
Yeah.
That was green shirt guy.
Wait, what?
Yes. And so the rumor is that he gets all these tickets comped because it was part of his settlement agreement to not sue. That's just the rumor. I don't know if it's true, but that is green shirt guy. The guy that CM Punk slapped because he thought he hit him in the back of the head when it was somebody else. He broke his glasses. That was green shirt guy. He was a lot skinnier then, but that was green shirt guy. Nope. I had it confirmed. That's green shirt guy. Same guy. Same guy. And now this guy is walking out with Wade Barrett at WrestleMania, hanging out over in Timekeeper's area before the night 2 starts. Like, what?
Someone said, "Isn't he a contractor?" I don't know. I don't know what the guy does for a living.
Yeah,
Nobody does.
I have no clue what he is and what he does. I don't care. Like, it'd be interesting to know, but I'm not gonna go search it out and figure it out and waste a lot of my own time to find out. If like I see a post about it, I'll read it, but I'm not gonna like do all that reporting and digging and investigating. Because in the end of the day, what does it really matter to me? You know,
there was a guy that interviewed me on his podcast, on his wrestling podcast.
Mhm.
Like he was at SmackDown in New York, and he got a picture with green shirt guy, and he was telling me, he's like, "Man, I really want to ask that guy, be like, hey, what do you do for a living?" So he can like know like how he forwards all these shows.
right? For a while, he went to a bunch of AEW shows, and then apparently he said I wasn't enjoying them, so he stopped going to AEW.
He did go to a few AEW shows. I did see that, but like, yeah, he's like front row, like in the center of like every WWE show, like major one. And he's been doing this since like I saw him like front row when Daniel Bryan won the world title at Mania.
Yeah, 14. Apparently, in like 2014 and 2013, he like had this goal in mind to at every big WWE show be front row. I don't know if it's part of his settlement. The rumor is that he may have got a settlement, but I don't know.
Someone said from what I've heard, he's a contractor and earns a ton of money. That's how he affords those events.
Well, yeah, I mean, contractors can make a lot of money. I know some contractors that are millionaires, and I know some contractors that just make it. So what? Saying he's a contractor doesn't really mean much, because unless you know, I personally know thousands of contractors, because that's what my family is in, and my best friend's family is in the construction business. Like, there's many different levels and types of contractors. There's contractors that just do renovations. There's contractors that just do they build homes. There's contractors that work for the government. Like my uncle does $1 million jobs, government contract jobs, a lot of laying concrete for government projects. But so it really depends. Just saying he's a contractor to me means nothing, because there's so many different levels to that, and there's so many different things that can mean. So it's like, oh, he's a contractor. Everyone thinks that contractors make all these buku bucks. No. Depends on what kind of construction you're doing. There's a documentary about him. Didn't even know about that or care about that, but maybe not that care is the wrong thing to say, but I didn't know about that. Anyways, coming here towards the end of this show, we're getting there, kinda. So Becky Lynch and Lyra Vaquer, this sucked. Becky was just screaming the whole time, and I was like fucking not wanting to pay attention to this. What did you think? Becky's over here just yelling the whole time.
Yeah, she was. She was yelling.
So goddamn annoying. So Becky comes out, mixed reaction, more cheers than boos. She said Bayley was tragically taken out of her match at WrestleMania, but there wouldn't be any murders mystery because, well, it was me. I did it. Lynch was amused with herself until people started booing. She told them not to act like she was the bad guy. Bayley has attacked her nonstop since 2019. Bayley never apologized for that. Lynch then said that Bayley forgot what this industry is all about. She begged for people to like her while she wore everyone else's shirts and danced to their music. Bayley wondered why she wasn't a bigger star, but she saw a bigger star when Lynch walked out at WrestleMania. Lynch then moved on to Lyra. She said that the friend of her enemy was her enemy. Lyra would not be in this business if it wasn't for her. Lynch had high hopes for Lyra, but Lynch watched at home while she cozied up to the woman that she's been fighting for 6 years. Lynch called her a loser for tagging with Bayley. Vaquer then came out and they started arguing. Eventually, Lyra was like, I want to fight you, and I'll put my title on the line, you and me at Backlash. And then Becky jumped out of the ring, and they kept on bickering, and Becky was yelling at her, and it just got so annoying. And then, yeah, Becky eventually leaves. Lyra goes to leave. Becky then attacks her at the top of the ramp. Not much to it. Match is set for Backlash. It is Becky challenging Lyra for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. Who do you got winning?
Becky.
Yeah, me too.
Becky has to win. Like, they're not gonna have her lose like already in like one of her first matches back.
Now, if Lyra's title reign had been better, and I would be like, okay, maybe Lyra gets a big win because this title reign's been good. But Lyra has only defended the title, what, twice, 3 times, if that?
Twice.
Yeah. And so it's like, well, Lyra's title reign sucked, so move on. And it's not her fault. It's the booking. So just move on. Nick Aldis met with Penta in the back. Penta said he wanted a fight. Aldis said he can't give it to him tonight, but next week he can have JD McDonough. Chad Gable then made fun of Penta for dropping the ball at Mania. Also made fun of his brother for being useless and losing at Mania as well to El Grande Americano. Penta then dropped him with a kick and said, "Don't mess with the Lucha Bros." And I was like, oh, is that a tease? Is that a tease? Lucha Bros. We then got a interesting worded Rusev video. Rusev said that when he was in WWE, he seemed like he had it all. The gold, the big tank at WrestleMania, but then he left because he didn't feel like himself anymore. He realized that he should no longer fight for a woman or for a flag. He said that I went into the abyss, and it was while I was in the abyss that I found myself and who I really am. Now I am here to do what I want and to crush people my way. So he called AEW the Abyss, but then also put him over by saying he found himself while he was in AEW. Any thoughts on the Rusev video? He's facing Otis next week. BT Dub.
I mean, it was just a hype video to get him hyped up for his first match back.
I thought it was interesting.
It was interesting. I'm really curious to see how they use him like going forward.
Me too.
Because like,
go for it.
I'm trying to think like will he be? Do you think he'll be used as like another Andrade, like when Andrade came back after all these years?
Hope not, because Andrade's been used just okay at best.
He's been having good matches, but like he's been losing a lot.
Exactly. That's why I said okay at best.
Kind of wish you have some sort of title reign.
I mean, he did. He won the speed title and held that for a little bit.
And people kind of forgot about that one because it's only on X.
Right.
So I don't even know if that one really counts.
Half. I'll say it half counts. So moving forward, we had the NXT Women's Champion, Stephanie Vaquer, against Ivy Nile. This match was pretty good. I thought these two worked very well together. Vaquer hit the Devil's Kiss pretty early on to the delight of the crowd. Pat McAfee said, "I bet you Booker T wishes he was here for this right now." Nile did block it earlier, which the crowd didn't appreciate, but she eventually got it in. After a break, Vaquer did it again. Vaquer then hit a Meteor in the corner, but Gable put Nile's foot on the rope to break the count. Vaquer confronted Gable, but Nile dropped her with a German suplex outside the ring. Nile then hit another one in the ring and got a 2 off of it. Nile went to the top rope, but Vaquer hit her with the headbutt before hitting a superplex for a near fall. Crowd chanted, "This is awesome." Nile countered Vaquer's move and hit her with the Uranagi, got a 2 off of it. Vaquer then trapped Nile in the ropes and hit her with a super kick. Vaquer followed this up with the Dragon Screw and the SVB to pick up the victory and defeat Ivy Nile. Crowd liked it. I thought it was a really good TV match. These two worked very well together. Yeah. What'd you think? I liked it. It was 9.5 minutes of good action.
It was some good action right there. Like I thought it was pretty solid.
Yep. Moving forward, they teased here. Look, actually, we got a couple of things coming out of this next segment. So it starts with Nick Aldis and AJ Styles. You know, Nick's talking about, I know you, AJ, and when you make a comeback, I know you can make a great comeback. What do you see next for you? And then Liv, Raquel, and Dom would interrupt. This was a little interesting here. Liv walks up.
Can I say a fun fact, actually?
Go for it.
Nick Aldis was actually AJ Styles' last opponent in TNA.
Mm-hmm.
That's when they did the whole AJ. It was like whole storyline thing of like AJ won the belt, but they were in like contract negotiation. He wouldn't like fight until he got a new contract. This was all storyline. Yep. And then when he came back, they did like him versus him versus Magnus. He was Magnus back then, but
was it a
like if
no
AJ
DQ match?
It was no DQ, and like Dixie had like all these people like attack AJ. She had a like bad influence. Christopher Daniels, Frank Kazarian, Robert Roode. I think she had like 2 other people as well. It was like, I think it was the Bromance as well.
Probably. I vaguely remember the match, but I know what you're talking about.
And the only person that was helping AJ was Sting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that is a very interesting one because like he's like, I know you. Well, yeah, you know him pretty well. Anyways, so Liv, Raquel, and Dom come in, and then this is a little weird, but Liv goes, Nick, just want to make sure you know. I'm gonna hurt the TV ratings here for the next couple of weeks, but I need my time off because starting next week, I'm gonna go film a big Hollywood movie. Now we did hear earlier in the day per PW Insider that next week was gonna be a big one for Liv Morgan. And now we know it's because she's going to film some big movie. Don't know what the movie is, but she's going to go film a movie next week. I don't know what it is, but she said that she's going to be taking a couple of weeks off to do so. And so Nicole's like, yes, your time off has been granted. You got it. It's all taken care of. Don't worry about it. And so keep in mind, she's one half of the tag team champions. Dom then goes, oh, hey, Nick, I need some time off too. And all this goes, well, why? You're the IC champion. Haven't you learned? When you're the champion, you work double. Your workload increases. But I'm like, then why can Liv get time off? Because she's a champion. So in literally 15, 20 seconds, they contradicted themselves. Anyways, Aldous said, no, you don't get time off. Dom then suggested he find a retirement home for AJ. Because AJ is going to break his hip just like his deadbeat dad. Styles said, no, I'm not. And then goes, you're asking about, what could be next for me. Nick, I think I got an idea. So I think they're teasing AJ and Dom. That'd be a cool match for like Backlash for the IC title or the Raw before next week's Raw. Because we still got to get SmackDown matches announced for Backlash. And we've got 3 Raw matches. No, 2 Raw matches and 1 SmackDown match so far.
The rumor is Jacob Fatu is going to be defending the belt at Backlash.
Okay, I haven't seen that one.
Well, I think it was supposed to be like, didn't they argue LA Knight versus Drew McIntyre?
But didn't that end like a DQ on SmackDown?
The rumor is that it might be a triple threat or a fatal 4-way.
It doesn't need to be a 4-way. I don't see who the 4th person would be unless it's solo and that's not needed.
Damian Priest.
Oh yeah, no, that does make sense. I don't want to see that. We saw too many of these at WrestleMania. I don't need another triple threat or a 4-way. I'm good.
Yeah, the rumor is fatal 4-way, but I can totally see it being a triple threat, just being like, you know what? You're all going to battle it out for the title.
Right. So yeah, they're teasing Dom and AJ. So then, Karrion Kross met with Sami Zayn. Kross said that Zayn has a big decision to make and hoped that he makes the right one. Kross wore his hair like Zayn, as he did when he was doing all that stuff with AJ, wore his hair like AJ. So I've heard, the rumor is that Karrion Kross is going to be getting some elevated opportunities on television, but in more of a character-driven sense, not in-ring. So we'll see. So far, he's still doing the same shit he's been doing. Then McAfee cut a promo, standing on the announce desk. McAfee cut a promo and said that a lot of people have forgotten who the hell he is. He's had such a successful career on the microphone that even he has forgotten who he is. He looked in the mirror and realized that he was still a dog that was born in the East Hills of Pittsburgh to a truck driver who went paycheck to paycheck to paycheck. He was not handed a lot in his life, but he was blessed to have a lot of friends, that is. He went from being a bum to being someone known in every city in this country. He wasn't better looking than most folks, but he had things that he hoped people remembered him for. When he was 6, he said, when I'm 6 feet under, he hoped that people would speak about how hard of a worker he was. He received a lot and gave back a lot. He gave millions and millions back to communities all over, to children's hospitals across the country, military foundations, homeless shelters, and the LGBTQ communities. He wanted people to say that he felt the world Or he wanted people to say that he left the world a little better than when he entered it. Most of all, he wanted people to say that he was a loyal motherfucker, and they censored that out. He said there was one man that's been with him since the beginning of this journey, and that's Michael Cole. People chanted for Cole's name as he called Cole the GOAT. McAfee had no other option but to protect his boy from the Austrian asshole who attacked him. McAfee dropped an F-bomb addressing Gunther. He called out SmackDown's version of Adam Pearce. He said, I want you to unsuspend Gunther so I can get my hands on him. Aldis said, I do things a little different than Adam Pearce, but we have talked about this, and I can't just unsuspend him and let you go willy-nilly. But what I can do is I can unsuspend him and give you a sanctioned match in the ring against Gunther. So how about this? You versus Gunther. Backlash. Pat goes, deal. He's like, all right, well, we'll convene with Gunther and make it official. Pat's been sat down and goes, holy crap, Cole, did I just accept a match with Gunther? Like, he said, I blacked out and didn't know what I was saying there for a minute. So what did you think of this?
Pat's promo was amazing.
Yes.
I liked it.
Yes. I wonder how scripted he was, or if he was just giving bullet points, or if they just said, go.
I'm sure they probably said go, and a lot of the stuff felt real.
Right. I liked it. I thought it was good.
Yeah, it was really good. Pat versus Gunther,
Pat gets his ass beat.
It's going to be interesting.
They're going to destroy him. I don't want to see a 50-50 match. Maybe Pat gets one or two moves in, but I want this to be like fucking Gunther and Jimmy Uso where he just fucking destroys him.
And Pat takes some time off.
Right. Hey, let Corey Graves work some Raws. Or Wade.
I haven't seen Corey Graves in a while.
Means you don't watch NXT. He's the third man in the booth on NXT every week.
I don't get access to the CW network.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I forgot.
I only see clips on YouTube. The last thing I saw on NXT was Trick Williams attacking Joe Hendry. Then,
well, that was not even NXT. That was TNA last night. The Rebellion pay-per-view.
And Joe Hendry showed up on NXT
last week.
The one after Mania.
Yep, last week. Last week Hendry showed up, and then so all night during that good show. I thought Rebellion last night was a really good show. Fucking Leon Slater almost killed himself, but that's a whole other story for another time. Anyways, the whole night they're teasing. There's this big superstar here in a tour bus. He's got his own tour bus, and then it was just Trick. Why did you think it was Cody? So
what? So I think what this is going to lean towards is Trick versus Joe Hendry for the TNA World Title. I can see that happening.
100%. This is exactly what it is. Where, when, we'll have to wait and see. If it was a month or two down the line, I would say make that your Slammiversary main event. That'd be great. Joe Hendry versus Trick Williams in the Slammiversary main event. But I think they have one or two big shows before that.
You think Trick Williams would beat him for the TNA belt?
No.
I could see it. But I do feel like Joe Hendry should have a little bit of a longer reign.
Yeah.
He should.
Well, that's what I was saying, Slammiversary, because that's usually July.
I think he should hold it till Bound for Glory.
October? No, that's not a bad idea. I mean,
then
tell me the last time the guy that held the TNA World Title was out doing as much media and press and getting eyeballs on TNA like Joe Hendry. You know what I mean?
I think.
Nemeth? No. Nemeth was having great matches, but he wasn't, out there doing all the media. Granted, he does bust it open, but he's just part of that show.
Bobby Lashley?
That's decades ago. That's a decade ago.
2017.
Okay. We're in 2015, so that's 8 years ago.
Or 2025.
Yeah. But I don't know. We'll see.
I'm trying to think of these last few champions. Alex Shelley.
Let's see.
Not Steve Macklin.
No.
Or Josh Alexander.
All Steve McAfee did was like a Fightful interview. But like Joe Hendry's out here on mainstream shows. He's on Ariel Helwani, you know. Let's see. I got the list of champions. Nick Nemec, Moose, Alex Shelley, Steve Macklin, Josh Alexander.
Moose did quite a bit, actually.
A little bit. And then Christian had it in 2021 when he beat Kenny Omega for it.
Oh, Kenny.
Was Kenny doing mainstream media as TNA champion, though?
No, it was just an add-on belt.
Yeah. So keep it on Joe Hendry for a little while. Benefits the company.
What about Rich Swann?
When was he the champion? He was the champion. He's the one Kenny beat. No.
Yeah.
I don't think he was doing... Again, I don't see anybody other than maybe the Hardys getting mainstream attention in TNA, other like Joe Hendry. Again, my son does not watch... I told the story before. My son does not watch TNA. Only people he knows in TNA are like the Hardy Boys. But when Joe Hendry showed up at the Royal Rumble, he knew his theme song from social media and TikTok and Instagram.
My mom thought Joe Hendry was a jerk. Because I met him at WrestleCon, and like, to be fair, Joe had a pretty long line and he didn't have any help. So like, I'll defend him on that. And then when we got up there, we were next, but then Joe said, just excuse me for one moment. He had to like move a bunch of stuff and leave for something. You think it took him 5 minutes to get back, 5 or 7 minutes to get back. And she was like, man, this guy feels very underprepared. I'm like, well, he has this huge line out the door. Like,
right.
What do you expect? The guy's probably freaking out and trying to find help. And the next day, he finally had someone assisting him with the money and everything. Like,
nice.
He was like the money and autographs. Like, he was doing all that by himself. And that's not easy doing that, having a big line like that. So,
nope. And he did it again this weekend at Squared Circle Expo.
He probably had a huge line.
Oh, they said him and Ospreay, I think, had the longest lines.
I believe it.
So,
I know when I was at WrestleCon, the people who had the longest line was Hendry. Kurt Angle had a pretty long line. They had to like make 2 separate lines, have a line out the door. Then once the line inside was getting shorter, it was like, all right, you guys can come in.
Dang.
And get in the Kurt Angle line. And then Moxley had a pretty decent line as well. Ric Flair did. Sting had a pretty big line. Hardy's line was all right. But yeah, biggest line was easily Joe Hendry.
Oh, yeah. So in the back, Jey Uso showed up to talk to Sami Zayn. Jey knew that he would make the best decision for himself. Zayn thanked him and they hugged. Sami walks off, and then all of a sudden Logan Paul knocks out Jey Uso with a punch, building to their match at Backlash. Gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
No.
So then,
seriously, we can get anybody else. Why Logan Paul? Why can't you just save that for Saudi?
Because they want an easy win for they want Jay's first defense to be against some. This is just me assuming they want it to be against somebody that's going to give them a good match, and the fans don't care if that guy loses.
But why would this is my opinion. Like, I just don't understand why they don't save it for Saudi, because like Saudi like really likes Logan Paul, so that can be like your Saudi main event.
Hey, I don't know. Maybe he can't.
You couldn't do.
Maybe he's not available for Saudi. Because remember, they work off of his schedule basically for the most part. But
what's he got going on during that time?
Oh, I don't know. They already filmed all the episodes for their Max show. The what is it called? Oh, it's on the tip of my tongue. What is their reality show on Max? Paul America or something like that. Paul American. Anyways, it's the top of the hour. So essentially there should be about 30 minutes left in this show. And these last 30 minutes dragged and sucked. Sami Zayn comes out. Seth Rollins comes out. Rollins tried to reason with him. Zayn may not like Heyman and Breaker, but Rollins and Zayn were friends. Zayn celebrated with Jay last week because they are friends. Rollins said nobody was better suited to lead them into the future than him. And it hurt that Sami does not believe that. The business tore friendships apart. They've both experienced that in many different ways. He wondered how many true friends they could still count on. Zayn was one of Rollins' best friends. Rollins turned to Zayn for advice when his daughter was born. He said, when my baby girl was born, you were one of the first people I called. You had just become a new dad, and I needed advice. Rollins wanted to return the favor by giving Zayn advice that would save his life. Take the way out. Take whatever Heyman has for you and go. If Zayn didn't believe in him, bad things are going to happen. And I don't want to see that, Rollins told him. Zayn said that he was sorry if this hurts you, but as a friend, it's what I got to do. Everything he said about them was true. They were real friends outside of this business, as were their kids. However, Zayn knew that Rollins was playing games with what he said in the ring. Zayn admitted that Rollins was better than he was at doing that. Rollins knew what card to play because Zayn confided in him over all these years. The one thing he wanted was the WWE Championship. He wants to be a world champion, and now Rollins was dangling that in front of him. But he's not going to run away. He will win a world title, but he'll win it on his terms, the right way, not because he is handed an opportunity. Zayn got fired up here and yelled in Seth's face, stating, quote, "So, buddy, as a friend, I respect you. I love you. But this is me telling you to go to hell." Rollins looked upset, and Braun Breaker's music hit. Braun Breaker came out in his gear with Paul Heyman to set up a Sami Zayn Braun Breaker match that went 12 and a half minutes, and all this sucked. Even the match was not all that great. It was supposed to be Sami unprepared in street clothes fighting a prepared monster Braun Breaker. So, like, who are we to compare this new version of Braun Breaker to? Because he feels like a guy that is now not just a guy, but he's just is like, is he supposed to be Ivan Drago?
I don't know.
It feels like he's supposed to be like Ivan Drago. That's what it feels like to me. They are making Braun Breaker their Ivan Drago. Whether I'm wrong on that, I don't know. But that's how it felt tonight. That he's just this, I don't speak for myself no more kind of guy. I just go out there and I beat people's asses. And that's how I make my statement. So.
He feels like another muscle.
Trey says, was Braun and Sami even announced? You do not watch the show. You do not just listen to this recap. It was not a match that was to be announced beforehand. It was a match that was set up in the moment. So they couldn't have announced this beforehand without ruining the entire show-long story. So, no, they did not announce this before because they couldn't have, or it would have spoiled everything. Sometimes you have matches on a show that you can't announce ahead of time. So, like I said, Sami took his shirt off and wrestled in street clothes. Went to a break after Braun hit a leaping clothesline off the apron and over the announce table. Zayn fought back just in time as they returned from the break with a sunset flip powerbomb off the ropes and got a 2. Zayn then followed this up with a DDT for another 2. Rollins watched kind of with no emotion at ringside. And kind of when Braun would do something, he just kind of nodded like, go. Yep. Uh-huh. You got it. At one point, he hit Zayn with a spear, hit him with another spear. Rollins then told Zayn, take the deal. We can end this now. Zayn said, no, go to hell. Zayn pulled himself to his feet and ate a third spear. Zayn then fell out of the ring, and the referee called for EMTs. As they checked on Zayn, Braun ran around the ring and did the whole big spear spot for a 4th spear. Jamie Noble tried to plead with Braun Breaker, but Braun told him to back off. Braun then tossed Zayn back into the ring, but the ref covered Zayn and said, no, this is it. The match is over. No. The fans were like, one more time. They want to see Braun kill Sami again. Rollins told Braun tonight was his first lesson. Zayn made his bed, and now he has to sleep in it. Rollins then gave him a huge-ass stomp. Rollins, Heyman, and Breaker then stood tall as the show went off the air. So, yeah, the last 30 minutes of the show, to me, wasn't good. What'd you think?
I didn't care for it. I'm really curious to see what they do with Seth and Braun at Backlash,
Mhm.
or if they do anything with them, which I'm sure they will.
Do we get?
They have.
So here's the thing. Sean Ross Sapp stated, I want to say last Wednesday, that he at one point had heard Roman might be taking some time off. Then was told, oh, wait, Roman might be working Backlash.
Roman and Punk versus Seth and Braun. Have that match open up Backlash.
You got 3 shows to set that up. This week's SmackDown, next week's Monday Night Raw, next week's SmackDown. So you didn't do any of it tonight. So how you set it up? Maybe Friday.
Have Roman return on Friday.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see. So maybe Sean was like wrong and right at the same time. I could see Roman taking time off, but maybe not till after Backlash.
It'd have to be after Backlash, then maybe like return SummerSlam.
Yeah, SummerSlam. I can see that.
What would he do though? What would he do?
Depends on how the Backlash match goes.
I would say Seth and Braun would have to win though.
Yes. Well, maybe something happens in the match and him and Punk go at it, and then that leads to, him going away for a little while, Punk doing whatever, and then Roman attacking Punk before SummerSlam and setting up a match.
Unless it leads to like Roman accidentally spearing Punk.
That's what I'm saying. Something like that would make sense. Some sort of miscommunication that screws up the match for them. So we'll see. It's a week from Saturday. WWE Backlash, St. Louis. Luke will be there. So maybe he can give us a live kind of like, hey, this is how it felt being there kind of thing.
I always do that on Twitter.
Hmm?
But yeah, I will be at Backlash if anyone in the chat or anyone watching this later is going to Backlash and you do see me there, come say hi.
All right, get the poll going on Twitch really fast. I liked it. It was all right. I didn't like it. Let's check the other polls. You know what we thought of the show. Now it's time to hear what you guys thought. So refresh. As far as the threads poll does go, excuse me. 63% liked the show, 20% thought it was just all right, and 17% didn't like it. Looking at the Twitter X poll, 62% liked the show, 31% thought it was just all right, and 7% didn't like the show. Looking at the YouTube community poll, 85% liked the show, and we got way more votes than normal. 11% thought it was just all right, and 4% didn't like it. Looking at the live poll, 77% liked the show, 15% thought it was just all right, 7% didn't like it. And as far as the Twitch poll, everybody that voted liked the show. With that, guys, that is going to wrap everything up. I want to say thank you for joining us here. Twitch.tv/PWU Unlimited, YouTube.com/Pro Wrestling Unlimited, and podcast services all around the globe like Stitcher, Spotify, Google Pod, Apple Pod, Anchor, iHeartRadio, and so much more. But Luke, tell them where they can find you.
You can find me over at Twitter X at Petke_21. And you can also find me over at Twitch at Young Grasshopper Luke.
With that, guys, have a great rest of your Monday night. Have a great week. And I'll see you back here Wednesday for AEW Dynamite. Have a good one, guys. All right, if you're still watching live on Twitch, we're going to send you over to